And a very good morning. Welcome to Crime Vlog Weekly. My name is Hartley. Big shout to all those returning subscribers. Thank you very much. Love to have you guys with me each and every time. And also, welcome to those new subscribers, especially over there in North America. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We continue with the fascinating trial over there in Boston, Massachusetts. This is Karen Reed, the Karen Reed murder trial. That's if you can call it a murder trial. There's so many scenarios with this trial. It definitely need to be made into a film, and I'm sure the script writers has got everything lined up and even got the casts of who's going to be playing who in this particular one. As I said, it's a fascinating trial. We could almost call it the crime of the century. What makes this so fascinating is that it seems to be the cops, policemen versus Karen Reed. Seems to be a lot of collusion, lies, making it up as they go along, and not investigating, or should I say, looking after each other. That's on the cop side. As you know, they like to look after each other's backs, I should say, yeah. And this is that type of case, and that's what's making it so interesting because there is so much that has been put into this. Experienced police investigators, most of them know each other for the last 30 years or so. Um, the chief investigator, best friends with the homeowner where John O'Keefe's body was found outside on the front lawn. No photos was taken. No investigation of the homeowners was put in place for about at least a month, almost a month. They seem to just focus in on Karen Reed, and this is where they seem to try to put as much evidence as they can on Karen Reed. Actually charging her for murder too, which means if she is found guilty, she'll definitely be spending the rest of her life without parole, or rest of her life in prison without parole. Before we move on, please hit that subscribe button and hit the like button. Help us to expand our reach on the YouTube network. Okay, today's video, we're going to focus very much on the evidence gathered so far by the prosecution, and also what the defense is claiming. We're going to focus on those 2 points today. What evidence we've heard so far over the last few weeks. That's from both sides, which is the prosecution and the defense. Right, my name is Hartley. I'm based over here in London. Hope you guys are doing well. We're finally getting some beautiful weather over here. Sun's out. Things are looking extremely good for the next few weeks, I hope. No rain. So please hit that like button, subscribe button. Help us to reach up to at least 50,000 subscribers. Would that be nice? Sure will. Okay, behind me is the, if you can see behind me, that house with the brown bricks, I should say. That's the house where they had the after party on the 29th of January 2022. This is where John O'Keefe, the one gentleman up there on the top left, or your top right, depends on which side you're looking on it. This is where John O'Keefe's body was found on the front lawn on that early morning. So We are looking, as I said, on all the facts, all the evidence from both sides. We're almost at the end of the trial. Hopefully we should get the jury out debating whether to come back with guilty or not guilty. That should happen this week, possibly Thursday or Friday, I think. There is a couple more witnesses, 2 or 3 more witnesses to be brought forward by the defense, and these are two very, 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 I must say, two very important witnesses. I think this will definitely tie up and make a lot of sense with the jury, what actually went down. Just to give you insight, the FBI was investigating the chief police officer who was investigating this case here in Canton. He is being investigated for the mishandling of this particular case. And what actually happened just before the start of the trial, the FBI came forward with their evidence and gave it to the judge, and they were not happy to let the trial go ahead with the evidence that they knew. Um, the judge did have the opportunity whether or not to go forward with the trial or put a stop on it. The defense did ask, with the information that came forward from the FBI, the trial must be stopped. But the judge decided to go ahead, and this is where we're at. We've heard the opening statement from the prosecution, also the opening statements from the defense, and they maintain their innocence, that Karen Reid had nothing to do with running her SUV Lexus into the back or into the body of her longtime boyfriend, John O'Keefe. So she denies all the charges, and the prosecution, they insist that this is what happened, that she smashed into him, and his body was thrown 30 feet up in the air and landed on the side. But there is just so much evidence at the moment to cause a doubt or whether or not she was involved. I'm not sure if you've been watching my other videos or watching other channels, but there's an officer. His name, I think it was, yeah, Mr. Proctor, Alan Proctor, the chief case officer. He seemed to have gathered so much evidence together that seems to be very much false. He was also cross-examined by the defense, and he did not do too well. And he, within 16 hours of being in charge of the case, he had already wrapped Karen Reid in a box and said, yes, she's guilty. And he made everything point towards that direction. And when I said put everything, made everything point towards the point to all the evidence which made Karen Reid look very guilty. Other situations is in the home. There was 11 to 12 or 11 to 13 people in that home on the night. Many of them left the home in the early mornings, did not see a body lying at the front. The snowplow driver also did not see anyone in the early mornings when he came down twice down that road to clear away some of the snow that was beginning to build up. He gave evidence, some very compelling evidence, that the road was completely clear. In his truck, he sits like 5 feet above the cars that's on the road, and so he had a clear view of the front yard of Brian Albert's house and did not see anyone there. So far, the evidence looking very much against the prosecution, and we think it's going to remain there. But we do have some key video clips for you. Need you to watch these and see what you think on it. Okay, here's a summary of some of the evidence.
Red and clear tail light.
And where were they in relation to sort of the grid or the area that you had set up?
They were on the street in between the flagpole and the fire hydrant.
You know approximately how many pieces of that you were able to locate on that thing?
I believe maybe 6 or 7 pieces.
And how big or how small, or did they range in size as far as the pieces that you located?
There was 3 larger pieces, 2 red, 1 clear, and then a couple of smaller pieces.
I was informed that this vehicle may have been involved in hit and run, so I was requested to examine it for biological material.
And what, if any, information were you given upon arrival to the Canton Police Department in regard to that vehicle?
I was informed that the victim had scratches on his arm, as well as the fact that the car had been towed through a blizzard.
And did you perform any testing with relation to the vehicle?
Yes, I did.
And what was that testing that you performed?
I performed blood screening on the lower lying areas of the undercarriage, on each side of the tire flap, as well as the edge of the bumper and the exhaust pipe.
And what were the results of that testing that you performed there in the garage?
Those were negative.
And what, if any, evidence did you collect while you were either from the vehicle or from any other source while you were at the Canton Police Station that night?
I collected the apparent glass from the rear bumper. I collected a paint standard from the area of damage on the rear door. I also collected a paint standard from the area of damage on the rear bumper, as well as the apparent hair from the rear quarter panel, and I collected the taillight housing from the vehicle.
And Ms. Hartman, right here on the screen, what's been now been marked as Exhibit 150, do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And what, if anything, of significance in relation to items collected or items you observe, do you observe in this particular photo?
I observed the apparent glass on the rear bumper.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 2515. And again, up on the screen, what's now been marked as Exhibit 153, do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
Now, as far as that area that you were talking about where you recovered what you termed initially in the garage as an apparent human hair, do you see the location of that within this photograph?
Is it possible to zoom in a little bit on the area right next to the rear tail light? To the best of my recollection, it was in this area.
You recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
That's the rear passenger area of the black Lexus.
Now, as far as the damage that you observed from the broken taillight, if you could, using the laser pointer before you direct the jury's attention to that, or what's visible of that in this photograph?
This area here is the broken taillight.
And Mr. Gilman, if I could have next photograph 2540. Now Exhibit 161. Again, Ms. Hartman, if you could, using that laser pointer, direct the jury's attention to where you observe, if anywhere in this photograph, damage to the right rear passenger taillight.
There's damage in this area here to the rear tail light.
From the damage that you observed, it essentially wraps around from both the back and from the passenger side of the vehicle, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And Ms. Hartman, do you recognize what's up on the screen as photograph 2554 exhibit 165?
Yes, I do.
And talking before, earlier in your testimony about some stickers or some sort of evidentiary marker that you would put on an item that you're examining, correct?
Correct.
And you see any of that in this photograph here?
Yes, I do.
And could you direct the jury's attention using the laser pointer to where you observed that and what if any area of damage or what that's denoted?
There's a sticker here, and I know you can't see it. I don't know if you can zoom in. There's a letter on the sticker, I believe it's A, that denotes that there's something there that I was going to collect. And right next to that sticker here is the apparent hair that I noticed.
And similarly, Ms. Harden, do you recognize anything in this photograph in regard to something that you had marked?
Yes, that's the rear bumper of the SUV.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could zoom in a little on that platform. And Ms. Harden, in this photograph, what if anything is depicted that you noted something to sort of reflect or further examine at a later?
There's pieces of apparent glass here on the bumper.
So the vehicle was traveling in reverse.
And how fast was the vehicle traveling and over what distance?
The vehicle traveled up to 24 miles per hour and approximately 62 feet.
What, if anything, occurred then?
The right rear of the Lexus struck the pedestrian John O'Keefe.
And post-collision, what, if anything, occurred with regard to Mr. O'Keefe?
Mr. O'Keefe was projected forward and to the left along the front yard of 34th Fairview Road.
Brian Albert, Sr., just made a general, hey, I'm going to go home, have a drink with Brian if anyone would like to come.
After that was sort of put out to the table, what, if any, discussion did you have in regard to that with either Mr. O'Keefe, Ms. Reed, or both?
Both of them. I said, oh, you guys should come, do you want to come?
And did they indicate that that was something that they wanted to do, or did they indicate that they were coming?
They both wanted to come, and they said they were coming, yes.
When she went outside, or when she was opening the door, her or somebody referenced that there was another vehicle out front.
And so, upon hearing that, where did it go?
Upon hearing that, we just assumed that was obviously John and Karen. So I don't recall if I looked out the window first or looked out the door first, but I looked out to see the other vehicle out in front of the house. I looked out again because it had been a few minutes, and 2, 3, 4 minutes, I'm not sure how long, but it had been a few minutes, and we thought it was weird that he hadn't come into the house. Looked out and saw the SUV again.
And when you looked out for the second time, where was the SUV in relation to where it was the first time?
The SUV had moved up the road from the front of the house. It went from spot A to spot B. Now it's further up, more in sync of where the again the flagpole, the utility box, more in sync with that. It had moved up the road. Thought it was weird that they hadn't come in.
So when you went over to the storm door and looked out, what anything did you see?
I saw a vehicle.
And can you describe the vehicle that you saw?
I saw a dark SUV.
Now, as far as Ms. Reed was concerned, are you familiar with what kind of vehicle she had at that time?
Yes.
And what kind of vehicle were you generally aware of her driving?
She had a Lexus.
And was that a sedan or an SUV, or what kind of vehicle?
I think it was like a small SUV.
Now, the vehicle that you saw outside of the residence in Fairview when you looked out the storm door, was that consistent with what you knew Ms. Reed was driving at that time?
Yes.
Yeah, so the first time I looked, I would say it was closer towards the mailbox, maybe a little bit in front of the mailbox. And then the second time, the last time I looked out the window, it had moved further down, closer to, I'll say, the flagpole, so closer that way, it went down that way, towards the flagpole.
And Ms. Nagel, with regard to the third point, or the third different location that you observed that black SUV on that morning, is that visible in this photograph?
Yes.
And again, using the laser pointer, if you could direct your attention to where you observed that third point that you observed the black SUV. Thank you.
I did notice something out of the ordinary, like a black blob in the ground by the flagpole.
Can you describe how big an object it was that you saw?
I'd probably say like 5 or 6 feet, like long.
Karen brings us to the back of the car and she says, look, see, I have a cracked tail light.
And where on the vehicle was she directing yourself and Ms. Roberts' attention?
The back right.
The passenger side, rear part of the vehicle?
Yes.
And when you looked at that area of the vehicle, what could you see?
I saw that there were missing pieces, but there was also snow covering it.
So as you came down the hill on Fairview, what if anything, what happened?
Jen said my sister's house is right up here. And all of a sudden Karen said, there he is, there he is. Let me the F out of this car. And she started kicking the door. She ran over to the mound.
And at that point in time, even when she runs over, could you see what she was running over to?
At some point I realized it was the shape of a body.
What if any conversations would you have with Mr. O'Keefe in regard to any sort of relationships or dating or anything like that?
Well, he dated a lot of people.
After Mr. O'Keefe said, calm down, that's Laura's little sister, I said, hi, nice to meet you. That's when Miss Reed's head snapped up, and she very loudly told me to go herself across the lobby. My sister pulled me aside from everybody and asked if the night that I got into the altercation with Miss Reed in the lobby, if I was making out with Mr. O'Keefe.
What you're watching is the prosecution witnesses. They're all giving evidence against Karen Reed. I do have clips also coming up of the defense, what was said from the defense, so stay tuned for that.
How did you respond?
That I absolutely was not.
As we got by different landmarks, she then started, screaming, asking if John could be at certain people's houses.
And so Ms. Reed is saying that in the car that morning as you're driving over to Fairview?
Yes, she asked, could he have been with Ashley? And I looked at her and said no, because to me that was a crazy idea. And then Carrie had mentioned, do you think he could have called somebody else that lived on a street over? And she started screaming, who's that, who's she?
Did you recall who Carrie referred to?
Yes. A woman that John had previously dated. She said something like, John really loved Amy, and in my eyes, Karen was just a babysitter with benefits.
At 2:25, John responds back, nope. Things haven't been great between us for a while. Ever consider that? That was at 2:26. At 2:29, he writes, kids are here, not in the mood to talk. Can you please admit your head is out of the game with us?
If you could, sir, please continue on to the top page 10.
Okay. At 2:32 p.m., sick of always arguing and fighting. It's been weekly for several months now. So yeah, I'm not as quick to jump back into being lovey-dovey as you apparently.
Visibly upset. She kept saying, this is all my fault. This is my fault. I did this. And she was very hysterical. And she kept asking, he's dead. Is he dead? Is he dead?
As I was ventilating, I was able to ask, did anybody see anything? What happened? And there was one individual that replied several times, I hit him, I hit him.
She just repeated the phrase over and over again, I hit him, I hit him.
Do you recall specifically what anything that person said?
All I recall her saying was, is he alive?
When I asked her if there had been any significant trauma that happened before this.
What did she say?
So she said, I hit him. She repeated it. There was a woman standing across from her who I believe at that point said, you're hysterical, you need to calm down, you're hysterical. She repeated, I hit him.
You indicated that the defendant said, I hit him, is that correct?
Yes.
That's something that she said once or more than once?
3 times. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Earlier it was could I, did I, when she...
You testified that your German Shepherd, Chloe, was also at the house when you were...
Okay. What you saw there, as I said, was the defense. The prosecution witnesses giving totally total evidence against Karen Reid. If you had to stop the trial there as a citizen or even a jury, you would kind of think, oh, sounds like Karen Reid is guilty of all this. But things did change around. We had lots and lots of evidence, or shall I say, cross-questioning by the defense, which start to change the aspect of the trial. And we realized, or I realized, that there seemed to be a lot of cover-ups. Obviously, cops, as I said, cops looking after cops, or police looking after police. It's such a thing as, I've got your back, and you make sure you've got mine, sort of thing. This is what seemed to was developed throughout the trial as we get more evidence in. I do have some clips of some cross-examining by the defense lawyer. I think her name is Miss Little. She's just crossing the homeowner, Mrs. Albert. Apparently they had a dog in the home, and this dog was given away, and this was given away, and this evidence was kept away from the defense for quite a long time. No one seemed to have known no one seemed to have known where this dog has gone. So they've given away the dog, the homeowner. They have now sold the home. The dog's gone, and before the home was sold, it was refurbished. The basement was refurbished. Their beloved dog, I should say, definitely gone, and lots of evidence was kept away from the defense. So that's where the cover-up started. We have got lots and lots of cross-questioning by the defense, which started to bring out the differences in this case.
On January 20th, correct?
Yes.
She's a large German Shepherd.
Yep, about 70 pounds.
She's not great with strangers.
I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say that it's kind of a poorly worded question. Would you say that she's good with strangers?
I'd say she's fine with strangers.
Ms. Albert, Chloe has injured other humans, hasn't she?
Check.
I'm going to allow that.
In one incident in May of 22, when she got out and was fighting with another dog, the woman whose dog it was tried to break up the two dogs, and while she was trying to break up the two dogs, she got injured.
Ms. Albert, you don't have Chloe anymore, do you?
Nope.
In May of 2022, 4 months after Mr. O'Keefe's death, you got rid of your family dog of 6 years.
Objection.
So is that true? Is that when you got rid of your dog?
I did not get rid of my dog. I rehomed my dog.
Your dog is no longer in the Canton area, correct?
No, but I know where she is. She's in Vermont.
So these came from me. From all accounts, he didn't do anything wrong. She's a whack job.
So don't spell it. You have to. So these are your words, Trooper Proctor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Yes, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. Though. No ass.
And sir, what is it that you were referring to there? Why would you text us?
These were, from all accounts, he didn't do anything wrong. He's talking about Mr. Homeowner, Mr. Albert. I had mentioned the compelling evidence against Mr. Reid at this point indicated that Mr. Albert had nothing to do with Mr. O'Keefe's stuff. The rest of the unprofessional, regrettable comments are something I'm not proud of. I shouldn't have wrote in a private or any type of setting.
So this is a cover-up of the so-called cover-up.
Your guess is as good as mine. That's what we're trying to figure out. That's exactly what we're trying to figure out. The Massachusetts, well, certainly the Massachusetts State Police is involved. There are people that were in that house that are involved. Brian Albert is involved. Jennifer McCabe is involved. The rest of the folks that were in that house. There's some level of involvement by everyone.
So you have a Boston police officer who was found dead on the lawn of a Boston police officer's home. Why was there no search warrant done of that home? Why was there no search for forensic evidence that he entered that home? That would have been done if it were you or me who owned that home.
The dog has been gotten rid of. Got rid of the evidence in the basement. Got rid of the house. The crime scene itself. Your Honor, I will submit to the court that evidence is literally being destroyed right under our nose.
It makes no sense to me. I think it's going to make no sense to a jury.
Said it feels we're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. Just feels like no one else wants it.
You can't convince me that you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do. And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life. I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life. There is no case against me. After 8 weeks, it's smoke and mirrors, and it's going through my private life and trying to contrive a motive that was never there.
Have you thought about what it would be like to be on the witness stand yourself?
Yeah, I have. I'd like to fill in some holes and correct some lies, but it's up to the attorneys, and they'll make the call probably at the 11th hour. I'm there or not there.
You're looking now for your chance to testify?
I'm an outspoken person, and I've never been able to speak up for myself and my defense, except when it matters the most. I've got to rely on them and their expertise.
There you go. That sums up both sides, the prosecution, witnesses, and also the cross-questioning there by the defense team. And you also heard Karen feeling confident that she will be found not guilty on the charges. Fascinating case, as I should say. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and help us to extend our reach across the YouTube network. Okay, we do have some more clips coming up for you, some crucial evidence about the phone calls, because as you know, there were a couple major phone calls or voicemails that was left on that morning between 12:30, or should I say 12:20 a.m. right through to 6:30 in the morning. So, and they had to get the experts in, the phone experts, to read the data, check the data, and to explain if anything was deleted or how it was deleted, or even why it was deleted. Because on this, the prosecution claims that there were no calls made from Jennifer McCabe. She's the sister-in-law of one of the police officers. She is also a very important witness, because she seemed to be the one who allegedly put everything together, helped put everything together to point evidence against Karen Reed. But this lady, Jennifer McCabe, allegedly made a phone call at 2:27 a.m. in the morning, asking how long for a body to decease, or shall I say, how long for a body to freeze at that time in the morning. How long would it take? Somewhere along those lines. I haven't got the exact quote there, but she did make a Google search asking about how long it takes someone to die in the freezing cold. Now, you have to ask yourself, why would someone at 2:30 in the morning, when they should be sleeping, getting up and making that sort of Google search? She's claiming she did not make that Google search. The defense also brought in an expert who claimed that the signal wasn't too good around that time, and they're claiming that no, the search wasn't made at 2:27. They think the search was made at 6:30 a.m. in the morning. Very wishy-washy evidence by the phone experts for the prosecution, because we later heard from the defense expert that there's no way that that call was made at 6:30. It was actually 100% made at 2:27 a.m. It's like game over there, definitely, because you know, a call was made before the body was found by Karen Reed and the two others. So that's very crucial. Also, within this case, we had two of the leading investigators that threw their phones away, deleted stuff, changed their phones, changed their telephone numbers. They did not want evidence from their phones to come into the case, so they got rid of their phones. So there's a lot of deletion. So the phone experts really had to come into this to help the jury. And so far the experts that actually came in for the defense has been extremely and precisely clear on their expertise of what happened on that morning. So I think the jury has got it together. I've got some clips of those witnesses. There is still two more to come later on this week, but we'll bring those to you a little bit later. But the phone expert and also the dog. Actually, I forgot to tell you about the dog. On John O'Keefe's arm, his right arm had a lot of scratches and what looks like abrasions or something on his hand, or bites or scratches. The prosecution reckoned that this was done when the car reversed into John O'Keefe, and due to that bodily collision between the car and John O'Keefe, that's what caused the abrasions on the hand. But the dog expert came in and they said, this dog expert has got about 40 years of experience, very highly trained and very highly educated lady about dogs, dog bites, dog scratches, and been dealing with police dogs for quite a while. So she gave evidence, compelling evidence again, to show that she was 100% sure that the scratches on John O'Keefe's right arm, and only his right arm, was from a dog. And she was pointing out about the scratches from the paws, and sometimes where the dog didn't get a very good grip, and the type of shapes or marks that was there. So it was very good evidence from that lady. I'm going to give you a clip so you can help make up your own mind on that. But as I said, a fascinating case. Hit the subscribe button, the like button. Let's keep it going. Okay, gonna play those clips for you now. Okay, the next bit of evidence we have, which favors the Karen Reed side, which is the defense side, is the snowplow driver. This is someone that I think his name is Lucky. They call him Lucky. His nickname is Lucky, the snowplow driver. Apparently, he comes out 2 or 3 times in the night to clear away snow from in front of the houses, and on that particular night he was working. This particular evidence was, they tried to keep this evidence out the prosecution did not want this particular gentleman to give evidence. They tried to keep him out. Also, the lead case detective also did whatever he can not to get this gentleman Lucky to come in to give evidence in favor of Karen Reed. He did know the family. He knew the Alberts family for years. I think he went to school with at least one of them, the homeowner, if I'm correct. But yes, he knew most of the family. So he was well, let's put it this way. He came across very confident and not willing to sway one way or the other. He gave the evidence as he should, and this is what went down. So listen out, make your mind up, as I said. Put your comments in, let me know which way you're thinking. But as I said, this is a fascinating case. So let's hear what Mr. Lucky have to say.
Now, so you get to the DPW at 2:15. You say that you get your truck ready. What does it that entail to get your truck ready, and how long does it take?
It takes about 5 minutes, but just basically you need to make sure that it's got enough gas in it, so we're not going to the route and running out of diesel fuel, which is not good. It's just basically going over the truck, making sure you have everything you need for that night.
And do you plow alone or with someone?
By myself.
Now, with regard to the visibility in your snowplow Franken truck, can you describe that for the jury? What you can see, what you can't see?
So the Franken truck has an air ride suspensions, an air ride seat. So the seat is raised so I can see over the hood. Okay. And I can see about 5 feet on either side of the passenger side, driver's side.
And when you say 5 feet, are you talking straight out from the...
From the windshield, straight out.
All right. And what, if any, lighting do you have on Franken truck?
We have marking lights. We have 2 plow lights that are situated at the corners of the trucks, and it's up high. It illuminates very well. It's very well seen.
Okay, and with the extra set of lighting that you just described, how far can you see off to the sides, in front of you, and directly in front of you?
Probably 5 feet on the sides.
Well, you already testified to that, 5 feet straight out.
Yeah.
But what about the sides going forward?
It's hard to decide to put into words, but I can see a real long distance. That visibility is fine. It is extremely. If you gave me probably 5, 10 feet, 15 feet out, maybe even further.
Okay. And with regard to the lighting, how much light does that give off?
Enormous amounts. It's almost driving with the spotlight.
And with regard to the air ride seats, what action did you take with those that particular night?
I raised it so that the bottom of my knees would hit the steering wheel.
And what, if any, obstructions, I should say, were in front of you that would prevent you from seeing what's in front of you or to the side?
Nothing.
All right. Now, do you have a specific route assigned to you?
Yes, I do.
Could you describe that route? And by the way, that specific route, was that the one that you were assigned on January 29th?
Correct.
Could you describe that for the jury?
Yes, it's a route that consists of Cedar Crest from Kings Road to Chapman Street and everything in between. There are a lot of streets I could name if you would like, but Fairview is one, Spring Lane is one, Cedar Crest, Kings Road. Those are pretty important roads that I would consider major roads on my route.
All right. Now, that particular night, if you got there at 2:15, what time do you think you were on the road by in Franken truck?
I was on Cedar Crest about 2:30, 2:35.
Now, with regard to Cedar Crest, I would like to show you a map if I can. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I've handed you a document. If you could just review that to yourself and then look up at me when you're done. Do you recognize what's depicted on that?
Yes.
What is it?
It is my plow route and consisting of streets that I plow.
All right. And to be fair, that's a portion of your plow route, right?
Correct.
There are other areas of the city that you plow?
This actually depicts my actual physical route.
Oh, okay, great. And that's a fair and accurate representation of the streets as they existed back in January of 2022?
Yes.
I would offer that, Your Honor.
Any objections to that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. 651. Thank you.
And can I have permission to publish before the jury?
Sure.
Okay. Now, you just testified that you got to Cedar Crest, I believe, you said 2:30 to 2:35 or so?
Correct.
All right, as we look at this exhibit on the screens, are you going from right to left or left to right on Cedar Crest when you first approach Fairview?
Right to left.
Okay, so you're going sort of from the upper right-hand corner of the diagram down Cedar Crest toward Fairview. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Could you take the laser pointer and just confirm that route for the jury? That's, okay. Do you see that's Fairview Road? Are you able to read that right?
I'm not, to be honest with you. I'm sorry.
Do you still have that map in front of you? Maybe that'll help you, Mr. Wall.
And actually, can I orient it so it's oriented just like that for him? That's how it's up on the screen.
Okay.
And by the way, I should have asked this, but is it in terms of is it you can't read the writing or you can't really see the outline of the streets?
Both.
Okay. Well, that's not going to help much. Okay. If we can have the lights back on. With the court's permission, can I leave that up on the screen while I ask a few more questions?
Sure, except you said I can't see it.
Right. No, I know, but the jury can, so I think it would be helpful for them. All right. So you're coming down Cedar Crest, and would Fairview be on your left or your right when you first approach it?
When I first approach, it's on my left.
All right. Now, do you take that left at that time?
No, I do not.
Why not?
At the time, I'm pushing snow, and we don't want to block any part of the road with snow, and taking a left would have left a rim row of snow. So I proceed to the end of Cedar Crest, do a cul-de-sac, and then head back up Cedar Crest.
All right, so there's a cul-de-sac at the end of Cedar Crest.
Correct.
Dead end.
Yes.
And you plow that?
Yes.
All right, so then when you come back up, is Fairview on your right or your left?
It is on my right.
What do you do?
I take that right and continue to plow.
Now, are you familiar with the Albert residence on Fairview Road?
Yes.
How did you become familiar with that?
Growing up in Canton, I knew where they lived.
Can I have Exhibit 66 displayed with the court's permission?
Yes.
From where you are seated now, Mr. Walker, are you able to see what's on the screen?
Yes.
Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What do you recognize?
The plow.
Now, I want to direct your attention to when you were, your truck was essentially perpendicular to the driveway. You see the driveway in Exhibit 66?
Yes, I do.
When you were perpendicular to the driveway, where were your headlights pointed?
In front of me. In front of the truck.
I'm sorry?
In front of the truck.
And what were you able to see of the front lawn of the Albert residence that very first time you passed?
I was able to see the entire front lawn.
And about what time was it that you first passed 34 Fairview Road?
About 2:45.
Now, as you continued along past the driveway, did you continue to have all of those headlights on in front of you?
Yes.
And as you continued along, what were you able to see of that front lawn? How much of it?
A very large portion, almost to the front steps.
And now, when you're plowing, where is your attention focused, sir?
My attention's focused in front of me and then to the sides.
Why would your attention be focused to the sides?
I am trying to be aware of any side traffic, any pedestrians, when, God forbid, any animals.
And when you were passing the Albert residence, as you pass every home, what attention do you pay to the sides of the road and the lawns that are adjacent to the road?
I'm, again, making sure that there are no animals, no pedestrians, and making sure no one's coming out of their driveways, not expecting to see me.
And with regard to Exhibit 66, do you see the flagpole there?
Yes.
Is that something you had seen previously?
Yes.
And when you made that first pass by that residence at 2:45 in the morning, sir, with your headlights on, what, if anything, did you see on the front lawn in the area of the flagpole?
I saw nothing.
If there had been a 6'2", 200-pound man lying in the snow there, would you have seen it?
Objection.
Sustained.
Now, once you pass the residence, where do you go?
I go to the end of Fairview.
And what street does that intersect with?
That intersects with Chapman Street.
If we have the previous exhibit put back up with the court's permission. Sure. Okay. Do you still have the exhibit oriented the same way, sir?
Yes, I do.
Where's Chapman Street on the exhibit? Down the bottom, the top, or which side?
Down the bottom.
Okay. And when you come to the end of Fairview with Cedar Crest in your rear now, right?
Correct.
Do you take a left or a right on Chapman?
I take a left.
All right.
Onto
And
Chapman.
once you take that left, what do you do?
I back up and then take a left to go back down Fairview.
So you're essentially doing almost a three-point turn in the road?
Correct.
All right. So now, do you go back down Fairview at that time?
Yes, I do.
And how far do you go down Fairview?
To the end, to Cedar Crest.
Now, at this point in time, you would also pass the Albert residence, correct?
Correct.
Would it be on your right or your left?
On my left.
Were you looking to the right and the left as you were coming down?
Yes.
How much light did your headlights illuminate of the Albert's front lawn as you were coming down from Chapman Street?
Coming down Chapman, just about the entire front lawn.
And again, with regard to that area around the flagpole, did you see anything on the lawn?
Nothing.
See a body?
No.
All right. Now, after you've done these two passes, sir, where do you go?
I then take a right on the Cedar Crest. I proceed up Spring Lane, come down Spring Lane, and then do the remaining of my route.
How long did it take you before you wound up back at Cedar Crest and Fairview?
About 45 minutes.
So I think you had previously testified you made the first pass around 2:45?
Correct.
So would that put us at about 3:30 when you're about to make the second pass?
Objection.
The state asked it different.
Sure, I'm sorry. What time was it, to your best estimate, in terms of when you would have approached Fairview and Cedar Crest again?
3:15 to 3:30.
All right. Now, when you approach that intersection again, are you approaching it such that Fairview would be on your left or your right this time?
On my left.
Same as last time?
Correct.
What do you do when you approach Cedar Crest, I'm sorry, when you approach Fairview and it's on your left?
At that point, I have an option. I can go to the end of Cedar Crest, or I can turn around at a street, depending on how much snow I have on Fairview.
And with regard to the decision you made regarding that choice, what decision did you make on January 29th at 3?
Went all the way to the end.
Went all the way to the end of Cedar Crest?
Correct.
Same thing you did the first time?
Correct.
And then you come back up?
Correct.
Is Fairview on your right or your left at that time?
It would be on my right.
And did you take that right?
Yes, I did.
What, if anything, unusual did you see at that point?
At that point, I saw a Ford Edge on the side of the road.
Where was it parked on the side of the road?
In front of the Albert's house.
Where in front of the Albert's house?
By the flagpole.
And why was that unusual?
The Alberts never had cars that were parked out front, and it just stuck out as weird.
Now, what were the snow conditions like at that point? This is now, I think you said about 3:15 to 3:30.
It's starting to accumulate a lot quicker than what it was previous.
And what policies does the DPW have regarding cars parked in the streets during a blizzard where there's plowing to be done?
We are to notify the supervisor. At that point, he will make a phone call to the police, and depending on if they can have the resident move it, it gets moved. If not, it gets towed.
And with regard to that policy, did you comply with that policy in those early morning hours?
No, I did not.
Why?
Because I was being courteous to the Albert family.
Now, once you saw the Ford Edge parked on the side of the road near that flagpole, what did you do?
I had to go around the vehicle and as to not hit the vehicle.
All right, and probably obvious, but as you're approaching the vehicle, was it faced in the same direction that you were traveling?
Yes.
And so you're going around to the left or the right of the vehicle?
Left.
And once, as you were approaching that vehicle, were you able to see on the right side of that vehicle the lawn side?
Yes.
Did you see anything on the front lawn at that time?
Objection.
I'll allow it. Did you see anything?
No.
The lights were still on?
Correct.
All right. Now, once you pass the vehicle, did anything attract your attention at all?
No.
All right. Where do you go?
I go up to the end of Fairview and do the same process, take a left on Chapman and back down Chapman and take a left into Fairview again.
Once you come back down Fairview, do you pass the Albert residence again?
Correct.
Was there that car that you saw?
Correct.
It moved from when you passed it the first time?
No.
Were you able to see the front lawn of the Alberts in front of you? As you were coming down Fairview, towards Cedar Crest?
Not as much as the first time because the car blocked the view.
All right. Now, after that, how long did it take you before you came back to that area to plow again?
About 3 hours.
Do you recall about what time it was that you wound up back on Fairview?
I don't honestly recall what specific time.
Sure. Approximately, if it was 3:15 to 3:30, that second time, what would be your best estimate of the time when you came back?
I would say if I had to say, it would have been 5:30 up Fairview, and came back down, and then at that point I wasn't able to go further than Carriage Lane.
Okay, and when you say that you went up Fairview and came back down, you initially went from which side of Fairview?
Right side.
What would that be, the right side? I'm sorry. Would it be the Cedar Crest side or the...
It would have been Cedar Crest side.
Coming from Cedar Crest, and then you went up Fairview, came back down?
Came back down. As I'm going up, I am actually seeing first responders. And at that point, as I'm coming back down, the road's blocked at that point.
Okay. And when the road was blocked, what, if any, plowing were you able to do after that on Fairview?
I was able to go as far as Carriage Lane and then turn around.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. That's the evidence there by Lucky. They call him Lucky. He was the plow driver on the night, and this is another very, very important witness, which puts it in the clear that nobody was seen by this this gentleman between the hours of 2:30 a.m. and sort of 5:30 a.m. in the morning. What he did see was a Ford Edge vehicle parked on the streets. When he first went down, it wasn't there, but I think it was the last time he passed, it was there. So this vehicle belongs to the homeowner, Brian Albert, and he disputed in his evidence that his vehicle remained on the driveway throughout the whole night, and he also claimed he was sleeping throughout the night. We're yet to believe everything that he has said, because there's a lot of disputes. There's also situations where he got rid of his phone evidence when he was told not to get rid of his phone evidence. So we can't totally believe everything that he has said. But this gentleman, Lucky, has been very precisely clear on his evidence that he did not see a body line on the near the flag posts on that night, and extra evidence came in that there was a Ford Edge on the roadside in front of the Brian Albert's home. And as I said, that is Brian Albert's car, and there's reasons that's going to come up why that particular car was parked at the front. This is going to come out a little bit later. Just to give you a brief on it. What was claimed is that something went, well, this is why the prosecution claimed that something went on in the house. They had a fight, whatever. Possibly the dog joined in and gave some scratches on with the, alongside the alleged beating that John O'Keefe received. They reckon that this happened down in the basement. He was brought out to the basement and dragged to the front just by the flag posts, and was placed there sometime very late in the early morning and left to die. Let's put it that way. Allegedly left to die, I should say. So this Ford Edge was possibly put in place to stop any of the Ring cameras from picking up what was going on across the road. So that's very much on the plate at the moment. But this witness has made it very clear, and I think the jury accept that he's telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Okay, next up we had an expert doctor who has had a lot of experience in dealing with dogs, dog bites and scratches, and many incidents with police dogs. So the defense actually brought this doctor in, and she was able to give evidence which helped the jurors as well as myself and a lot of you out there about what those scratches was on John O'Keefe's hand. It surely did not look like a car created those marks on his hands. So this doctor obviously trying to put things clear for the defense lawyers. So listen out. Again, listen to what this doctor have to say and make your mind up. Drop me some comments on there. There we go.
You've listed several items that you've reviewed and coming to your opinions and conclusions. Did you also review a toxicological report?
Yes.
And a neurology report, neuropathology report?
Yes.
As well, from the Commonwealth?
Yes.
Based on your review of all of those materials, I don't want to know what your opinion or conclusion is yet, but were you able to come to an opinion or conclusion concerning the injuries specifically to John O'Keefe's arm?
Yes.
Or his right arm? Were there any documents in furtherance of your review from UC Davis?
Yes.
Did you review those as well?
Objection.
Sustained.
With the court's permission, may we display Exhibit 19, please?
Okay.
Doctor, I want to show you a photograph and ask you very quickly, have you seen this before?
Yes.
Is this one of a number of photographs that you reviewed in furtherance of your evaluation of this case?
Yes, it is.
I'd like to just focus your attention on this for just a quick second and ask you, does this accurately reflect the wounds or injuries that you saw on John O'Keefe's right arm in coming to your opinions and conclusions?
Yes, it reflects the injuries that I saw in photographs.
All right. Now, based on your review of all of the data that you've talked about, all of the information that you were given and reviewed, what is your opinion or conclusion about how these injuries were sustained?
I believe that these injuries were sustained by an animal, possibly a large dog, because of the pattern of the injuries.
Could you describe for the jurors, please, on what you base that opinion?
Yes. Well, may I use the...
Sure.
Okay, thank you. There's a number of patterns here. They're up on the upper part of the arm. There's parallel lines. And those were inflicted by either teeth or claw marks. So there's a number of patterns that could be teeth or claw mark. And so this is one set right here. This is the one further down, closer to the elbow, is another set of parallel marks. Again, probably most likely from teeth marks. And the reason I say that is, in addition to the parallel marks up here, down here, there's also little punctate, incomplete puncture marks here. Little round marks right there that were inflicted by the actual point of the tooth.
Okay, that was my question. What relevance does that have to your determination that this was likely caused by an animal?
Yes, and I can explain in a moment the various kinds of wounds that animals can inflict. But going on with the picture first. So then down right at the elbow, there's another different series of marks that again have linear abrasions up where the pointer is, and then down below some punctate, superficial, round, small abrasions, again representing upper and lower teeth, in my opinion. And then there are some irregular wounds down just below the elbow. And these are all, by the way, on the exterior surface, or what we call what doctors would call the posterior surface of the arm, which is the part of the arm that would sustain defensive type wounds. So if someone were to protect themselves.
Objection.
So sustain. Next question.
Sure. Doctor, if I can ask another question. Just to clear up what you said a little earlier about some of the wounds close to the elbow, is it your opinion that both the top teeth and the bottom teeth could have created some or all of the injuries on that elbow area?
Yes.
Okay, so in other words, instead of the mouth going all the way around the arm, it could have, the top and bottom jaw could have situated itself on this portion that we're seeing, the posterior part of the arm?
Yes, and in this case, the animal did not get a good enough contact.
Objection, move to strike.
So I'm going to strike that and ask a different question.
Have you seen contact wounds where the animal, a dog for instance, gets a very solid purchase on the leg, arm, part of the body?
Yes.
Okay, is that this or is this something else?
Something else.
Describe that.
Well, an animal inflicts injuries. The type of injury depends on, in part, on the actual type of contact and how much force is applied by that animal. In addition to any relative movement between the animal and the victim, in this case. So, for instance, in the law enforcement dog bites, many of...
Objection.
Right. So the nature, is it notice? Is it, what's one word?
May we approach?
Okay.
As I said earlier, this is the another witness that the defense wanted in and the prosecution wanted them out. So they did not really want anyone to come in to explain about those bruises on John Keefe's arm.
You are unmuted.
They've just had a sidebar discussion and they're going to continue. Let's hear what they have to say.
Your Honor. Yes. Thank you. Without getting into any specifics about police canines,
okay,
does the pattern of injuries that you see appear consistent with an animal or a large dog?
Yes.
Does the number of injuries that you see here relegated to just the right arm, is that also consistent with an animal or large dog?
Yes, it can be.
Is the direction of the injuries, or the consistency of the direction of the injuries, the parallel injuries, is that also consistent with an animal or large dog attack?
Yes.
Based on everything that we've discussed today, Doctor, is it your opinion, based on a reasonable degree of medical certainty, that these injuries were from an animal attack, possibly a large dog?
Yes.
Have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
There you go. Extremely powerful evidence there from the dog expert. She's had well over 35 years of dealing with dogs and the scratches, bites, and police dogs. Obviously, they did try to keep that bit out when she mentioned police dogs, but virtually she's a dog expert. She knows everything about scratches, bites, and what it looks like and what it causes and how the teeth marks goes and the pose of the dogs. So that again is more evidence that makes things looks very possible that the dog was involved in this particular incident that happened on the night. We don't know exactly what happened, but it's all coming together now. And of course, we're coming to the end of the trial. Now, in dispute also was this particular phone call at 2:27 a.m. by Jennifer McCabe. She claims she did not make a call at that time in the morning, yet still this very experienced officer has got evidence, data phone evidence of the phone call, the Google search that was made at 2:27 a.m. and he is absolutely positive that this happened. And there was some sort of reflection of that at 6:30 a.m. again, but I think he explained that and how comes it came by. So there was 2 calls, one at 2:27 a.m. then was deleted by Jennifer McCabe, and again at 6:30 a.m. in the morning by Jennifer McCabe. At that point, she did say, when Jennifer gave her evidence, she said that Karen Reed asked her to Google how long to die in the cold. But this phone data expert, made us very clear that that is not the case. Listen out again. Let me know what you think. Make your comments below.
So I placed that document before you. Could you familiarize yourself with that and look up at me when you're done?
All right.
Recognize that?
I do.
What is it?
So this is a screenshot from the CellHawk program. It has a kind of a central box here that says database settings, and this is where we apply a certain filter.
And what filter did you apply?
This was for the accuracy of less than or equal to 3 feet.
With regard to what?
John O'Keefe's location data.
Is that an exact, is the data on that document exactly what you received when you used the CellHawk program to filter the data?
Yes, sir.
I would offer that, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objections.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said objection.
Yeah.
So you need to give it to Madam Court Reporter?
I'm all flustered. Sorry. And if the witness could have that again.
Thank you.
With permission, I'd like to publish that, Your Honor.
Okay.
Again, if the defense can prove that that phone call was made at 2:27 a.m. by the phone data, we say game over. Free Karen Reed.
Okay, so, Mr. Green, what are we looking at?
Okay, so that is the screenshot from the CellHawk.
And what can you tell us about what you learned from that exhibit?
Well, I'll just use the pointer here, it might help. You can see up in this part here, where this is where we apply the filter for 3 feet or less. That'd be the accuracy. And then it actually returns 0 results, meaning all of the data within there had an accuracy rating higher than that 3 foot. It could be 5 meters or 10 meters, but none of it was granular enough at a 3 foot or less accuracy level.
And if you had input an accuracy of within, say, 500 feet, what would you find?
Yeah, you would see then a large number of circles, each circle representing the meters that the accuracy would be related to. What's really important to understand, though, is you don't want to look at just the middle of the circle. That accuracy indicates it could be anywhere in the circle. So if you saw one and it encompassed 2 or 3 houses, you could only draw that inference of somewhere in that circle. So it's kind of like how the hurricane, they say don't just look at the cone, right? Because it could be different than that. Also, the accuracy, this is Apple's best guess of what the accuracy is. So it could actually be different than that. It's Apple is using a number of services, and they're giving back the best estimation that they can for the accuracy.
Okay, so we've talked about the location cache data and where it put John O'Keefe's phone in terms of arriving at 34 Fairview, but was there also Apple Health data on John O'Keefe's phone during that time?
Certainly, yes.
Is Apple Health data generally accepted within the forensic science community as being reliable?
Well, the Apple Health data comes from something called HealthKit, but it's integral to the iOS system. So anyone that has an iPhone probably seen Apple Health data, and it's known to have extremely valuable data that the forensic tools work.
Yeah, what's actually happening here also, this phone expert also investigated the movements of John O'Keefe's phone before it was found early morning. And he investigated that the health data showed that John O'Keefe was in the home and possibly going up and down stairs, because the defense claims that there was movement in that home with John O'Keefe's phone up and down the stairs. We're not sure whether it was in the basement or whether it was further upstairs, but there's very much an unsurety there. The prosecution said no, John O'Keefe was never in the home. So obviously the defense had to bring in their expert witness with all the data to prove where his phone was, and as well as the other phone calls that was made by Karen Reed and Jennifer McCarp, who allegedly made that call at 2:27 a.m. asking how long does it take for someone to die in the cold. So this is a witness that the jury needs to understand absolutely everything about the phone data, which will help them to make their minds up.
With and present to us. The degree of accuracy, it depends on the type of data that's being pulled out and the artifacts. For example, steps are known to have an accuracy of around 98% on the actual steps occurring.
So if the Apple Health data returns, for instance, steps of 20 steps within a certain time period, 98% of the time Apple's going to be right?
That's what studies have shown.
All right. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Do you want this back? Okay.
Mr. Green, I placed another document before you. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes, I do. This is this lists out Apple Health data for that was from John O'Keefe's phone on January 29th, 2022.
All right. That came from the data that you received, the image file of John O'Keefe's phone, correct?
That is correct.
I would offer that, Your Honor.
Mr. Lally?
No objection.
Get back to this. Okay. And with the court's permission, may I publish that, Your Honor?
Okay.
Specifically, I'd like to start with page 2, record 2. Okay, Mr. Green, are you wearing the right glasses to be able to see the scene?
Yeah, I probably need bifocals here. I keep switching glasses, but...
are you able to read what is on the screen? Or if it's easier, you can look on your document in front of you. It's page 2, record 2.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do that. I can probably still see good enough to do the laser one. I'm sorry, which record is this you're looking at?
Page 2, record number 2.
Okay, yes, I have that in front of me.
Okay. What does record number 2 show on page 2 of John's Apple Health data?
Sure. So this is the number of meters. It's listed as 87.74, and the time is listed between 12:21 and 10 seconds, and there's a milliseconds after that, but I'll just round it off to the second if you don't mind. So 12:21 and 10 seconds to 12:24 and 22 seconds.
Okay. And you said that it showed 87 meters traveled during that time period?
Correct.
And with regard to that same time period, 12:21 and 10 seconds and 12:24 and 22 seconds, please turn to page 5. And Mr. Bates, if you would zoom in on record number 2.
I have that.
Okay. What does record number 2 reflect?
Again, it's the same time period, and the steps taken is recorded as 80 steps.
Okay, and you said the same time period, so again, 12/21/10 to 12/24/22, correct?
Correct.
All right, now I'd like to direct your attention to page 4, record number 1. And if Mr. Bates, you could post that. And when you're ready, Mr. Green, if you could tell the jury what that reflects.
Sure. So this indicates 3 sets of floors. That represents elevation change, so it doesn't indicate to us up or down. But 3 steps, and the time period for that is 12/22/14 to 12/24/37.
Okay, did you say 12/21/14 to 12/22? I'm sorry, 12/24/37.
Yeah, 12/22/14 to 12/47/37.
I see. And with regard to all of this data, the 80 steps and the 3 flights of stairs that you mentioned, is it possible to pinpoint where within the time frame that's given those steps or flights of stairs were ascended or descended?
No, the most granular we can get is the time period, and it doesn't signify as any more likely at the beginning of the time period than at the end of the time period than at some time in the middle. And if you think logically, like distance traveled, that doesn't happen at a split moment. It happens over a period of time. So it's time is a factor in that equation, and this is how the Apple records that data. You got to look at the time overall.
Okay, so you don't know if it's the steps are bunched up toward the beginning or toward the end or more evenly spread out?
No, I would not be able to tell you that.
Now we've discussed the Apple Health data. I want to go back for a second to talk about the location data on the iPhone. Does that data that you've already talked about in terms of the arrival time that it gave for John O'Keefe's phone at 34 Fairview, does that arrival time fall within or outside the range of 12:21 and 10 seconds, or 12:21 and 10 seconds and 12:24 and 37 seconds?
Well, that certainly indicates an overlap, but the health data is ending after the arrival, and
now, I'd like to discuss with you the concept of clocks used by apps on an iPhone.
Sure.
Are you aware of the 3 different clocks that are used by iPhone apps?
I am.
Where are they?
We have 3 separate internal clocks. You have a monotonic clock, a baseband clock, and a wall clock.
Okay, and is the wall clock also called a display clock?
Yeah, that would be also a common name for that.
And what is the significance of the existence of 3 clocks regarding different times that may show up within these records?
Sure. Well, app developers can access Apple program library, and they can call upon any of the clocks to use within their apps.
Okay. Now, in your investigation and examination of this case, did you find examples on this phone of different clocks being used?
So in this particular case, I had reprocessed the data with the newest version of the Axiom forensic program. It's similar to Cellbrite. There are competitors to Cellbrite, and we use both programs. And this newest version had a feature in there where you can filter for the Waze application. And again, just following up and seeing how this functioned, we filtered for the Waze application. And for the first time, we saw this monotonic timestamp being related to the Waze application.
Okay. I want to show you Exhibit 640, if I may approach you on. I placed Exhibit 640 before you, sir. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
So this is a screenshot from the Magnet Action program I was referring to. It's the 8.1, actually it looks like 4287, but
Keep your voice up, sir.
I'm sorry, yeah, so it's the newest version of the program, and we have it filtered for the Waze app, and it's giving us the timestamps associated with it.
With the court's permission, may I publish that?
Okay.
There you go.
And first of all, are you, no, that mic is probably too small. I can't read it.
Okay, thank you. I'll go off of this one.
There we go. With regard to what we are looking at there on that part of the screen, what are we looking at, Mr. Green?
Okay, so this is listing details of this particular artifact, and you can see that this is bundled. The com.waze.iphone, that's a standard bundle type name where it always starts with com dot and then the application reference.
And what does that mean? It says, it's highlighted on the screen, com.waze.iphone. What does that mean that we're in right now?
Yeah, well, this is an artifact specifically related to the Waze program.
Waze app?
Yes, sir.
All right, go on.
Okay, and we can see here our entry for the monotonic time, the baseband time, and the display time.
And what did you notice about the relationship of the three of those?
Certainly. Well, most noticeable about this, the monotonic is running a little over 3 minutes ahead of the display. So that, I think it's 3 minutes and 1 second, give or take a little. So, you know, in a lot of cases, 3 minutes may not seem like much, but in this case, this struck me as important to. Objection, move to strike.
Sustained, and willing to strike at next question.
Okay, I apologize.
You can hand that back to Madam Court Reporter.
Sure. Thank
and
you.
I'd like to go back to the health data, Mr. Banks, if you can put that back up. And this was to be page 2, record number 3. And you don't still have that in front of you, do you?
Actually, I do.
You do?
I do.
Page 2, record number 3, sir.
Yes, sir.
What does that show?
All right. Okay, so this is another entry from John O'Keefe's data, cell phone data, and this records 25.46 meters occurring between 12:31:56 and 12:32:16.
Okay. And directing your attention to page 5, record number 3, if you could tell the jury what that shows, and if we can have that displayed as well, Mr. Bates.
Certainly. So this is
These timing is very, very important to the jury because it was told that Karen Reed arrived back at John O'Keefe's house around 12:36 to 12:45 p.m. A.m. I should say, 12:35 to 12:45 a.m. It was told that Karen Reed arrived back at the home. So what they're trying to establish is that Karen Reed was not able to have been at the house at the times that the prosecution saying she was, because at that time there were other people arriving at the premises and other people looking out the windows. So there's a bit of a discrepancy in timing. So he's trying to get things clear with the phone data for the jury.
directly related to the distance, and this is recording 36 steps, and it's the same time period, 12:31:56 to 12:32:16.
Okay. So we have 36 steps being taken according to Apple Health data on John O'Keefe's phone for a time period that ends at 12:32:16.
Objection.
Sustained, ask it differently, Mr. Newman.
With regard to those 36 steps, do we know where within that time frame they were taken?
Sure. Let me reread that here. We January 29th, 2022, 12:31:56 a.m. It is actually 12:31:56.109 a.m. and 12:32:16.507 a.m.
Okay. All right. So now I'd like to switch, if we can, to Jennifer McCabe's phone and your analysis of that. During the course of your examination, when you reviewed data from her phone, did you find a particular artifact of interest?
Yes, I did.
What did you find?
This is the bit that's coming up with Jennifer McCabe, as I should say. She plays also a big part within this case and allegedly colluding with the police officers and so forth with information, a lot of untruths, allegedly. And she also denied making that call at 2:27 a.m. So here it goes. This is the phone expert, and he knows best.
We found a Google search that happened. First of all, the search was "How long to die in cold," and it happened at or before 2:27 a.m.
All right. Where was that search found?
Sure. So the artifact on that was called a Safari Suspended Tabs artifact, and there's a database associated with that called the Browser DB database, and an accompany file, which is by the same name but ends in WAL, which stands for Write Ahead Log. And the write ahead log is where the data first gets written to, and then at certain points, that data then gets committed and written to the main database.
All right, so that, if I'm correct, that browserstate.db/wall file, that's a temporary file, right?
It's temporary by nature, but it's not, it's integral. It's part of the way the SQLite functions. So it's not like a throwaway file. It's part of the way the whole system works.
And is it helpful to you when evaluating artifacts?
Certainly, yeah. Just by nature of it, we'll find a lot of the newest artifacts in that wall file.
Now, how do you determine the timing in terms of the timestamp on the browserstate.db wall file?
Sure. So the wall file has different rows and columns. You can kind of think of it as an Excel spreadsheet, and in this one particular column had it was a time column. That'd be the nature of the data going into it, and this the heading on this particular one was last viewed time.
Okay. Regarding that Google search for HOS long, and I say HOS, HOS long to get in cold, found in the browserstate.db wall file, what was the date and time for that artifact?
Sure. So that's recorded in what's called an Apicocoa time, and it's actually the number of seconds since January 1st, 2001. So you end up with this large number, but that gets converted to present to us something that's human readable, and then you have to apply the offset for the local. So once you do all those calculations, that's where we get the January 29th, 2022 at 2:27 in the morning.
The specific, do you remember the number of seconds after?
I believe it's 40 seconds.
2:27, 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. And in what state did you find that artifact?
Yeah, so the specific artifact, or it comes from a record, and the record number on this is 4028, I believe, and it was in a deleted state.
Okay. Now, what would you normally expect to find along with the artifact, sir?
So you'd have the date and time, the URL, which the way the URL presents itself, we know that it's a Google search, but you also see a history of other places that tab has been.
And with this particular artifact, did you learn the full internet history of websites related to that record?
No, that wasn't possible. We were only able to get the one website. I would say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I interrupted you. Sorry.
Well, no, so we definitely got the one artifact, the Google search, and we have the time related to it, but we do not know everywhere else that tab had been.
what significance was there to you about the fact that the full internet history related to that record could not be recovered?
Well, I wanted to do a little deeper dive into that, and so I used some various other database specific tools. One was called Belkasoft X, which has an excellent database viewer in it. Sanderson Forensics, which is known to specialize in this type of work, and
ArtX?
I'm sorry?
ArtX?
You saved me. Yes, ArtX, which is a program known in the community for research.
And how did you sort of cross-reference the three of those together? How did you use them?
Yeah, so all three of those tools, along with Axiom and Cellbrite, which I did, they do have a low-level SQL viewer as well. So I looked at the data with all 5 of those tools, and I found it to be consistent amongst all the tools.
And in addition to using those tools, what else did you do?
So I wanted to get a little more context. One thing with this artifact, it is deleted. And one thing about deleted data, sometimes you get it all back, sometimes you don't, sometimes you get a fragment. Deleted data makes it very difficult to give you the whole picture of what's happening. So in this particular case, I wanted to see what other artifacts were around this time as it related to web history, and particularly this browser.
This is looking very, very good for the defense, because obviously Jennifer McCabe actually, allegedly after Googling how long to die in the cold, she actually deleted that, and again at 6:30 in the morning, that search showed up again. So this expert was able to explain the reasons why that search showed up again at 6:30 a.m. in the morning, and he's 100% sure that the real Google search was made at 2:27 a.m. in the a.m. in the morning. So game over, as I said. I really cannot see how the jury could find Miss Reed guilty of these charges. I'm going to say she's going to walk, definitely walk, and quite a few people is going to get sued. I'm sure she's not going to have to work for the rest of her life. It might take her 15 years to get it all together, and any compensation. But yes, extraordinary case. Police, cops versus Karen Reed. Collusions, mistruths, phones being deleted, phones being thrown away, new numbers, and this is all from the police. Would you believe it? And some of these guys are still on the force. There was one truthful police was on the case. He actually said he only saw a small crack on the brake light of Karen Reed's car. When he came to inspect the car, he saw one crack. Yet still, evidence was shown by these other officers, who was the police, Brian Albert's friends. I think there was up to 46 pieces of cracked tail light that showed up days later, hours later, weeks later. So who do you believe? The officer that told the truth exactly, which is there was just a crack in the tail light. Also, when the car was taken to the Sally Port for inspections, we haven't seen any photographs of Karen Reed's car by the prosecution. Surely there should have been some photographs of the car, most definitely. Because if you're a truck driver taking a vehicle to be inspected, before you take that car, you should have gone around to all different angles of that car and take at least probably 10 to 15 photos to prove that you did not damage this vehicle in any such way. We haven't seen that as yet, so hopefully, something might come in. We do have a couple more witnesses for the defense coming up earlier this week. This is, as I said, this is there's 2 FBI officers that's due to come in to give their evidence, and they're totally independent from Karen Reed, totally independent from the prosecution. They're actually working for the FBI. As I said, there has been an internal investigation of Detective Proctor, who is the leading case officer for this particular case, Karen Reed's case. And he's being investigated for irregularities, I should say. We don't know all the evidence, but we have got some evidence that he was not doing what he was supposed to do. So all these facts that has come out makes it like a not guilty situation, because everyone, all 12 jurors would have to say guilty. If one holds out and said no, then she's going to walk. And the defense has done a fantastic job. If I ever get in problems myself, I'm sure I wouldn't be, but if I ever did get in trouble, I would love to have Alan Jackson and Mr. Yannetti on my side. Everything was precise, clear, so we can understand what's going on. Okay, well, that's it from me, Hartley. My name is Hartley on Crime Vlog Weekly. Today we were looking at the evidence brought forward so far by the prosecution, also cross-questioning from the defense lawyers, and an update of the phone data expert and the dog expert who's looked at those scratches on John O'Keefe's arm. So hopefully that make things very much more clear for you guys out there. I'm sure a lot of you is just like me, a basic citizen, or should I say a citizen out there, no matter where you're in America, Europe, UK, Far East, wherever, Australia, makes it much clearer for you. Okay, I'll be back later on this week with the other 2 witnesses and possibly the verdict. What do you think so far from what you've heard? Drop me a comment, let me know. Is it guilty or is it not guilty? Is it a cover-up? What do you think? Or do you think she should go as charged, which is murder 2? She ran over her boyfriend with her car. Do you think that's what's happening? Do let me know. Okay, I'm going to say bye-bye. We're going to get out of here. We've been on now for approximately 1 minute and 49 seconds or so. So we're going to close off, and I'm going to see you on the next video. Enjoy yourself for the rest of the day or for the rest of the evening, whatever you're doing. Don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe button, and share this video with your friends and family. Back with you very soon. I'm out of here. Hartley from Crime Vlog Weekly. Thank you.